We can finally read Scala Caelum text. There's even hidden lore nuggets within this map right here that I'll get to later in the video. And it's all thanks to the Kingdom Hearts Missing Link beta. If you recall, during that beta, there was a focus group get together and Tetsuya Nomura actually happened to show up. One of the questions that the attendees asked was, can fans even decipher the letters in Scala Caelum if they try hard? And they were met with a reply that I don't think almost anyone was expecting. I think it can be done. So I started re-investigating to see what we could find out. I looked through all the footage I could find of Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, and concluding everything that I've looked through, we've gone from knowing this to this. Let me put it this way. I've found enough Scala Caelum text that if we come across a word that is legible, we will be able to decipher it from here on out. Something I'm excited about is we might actually be able to decipher this tablet finally. If you haven't been keeping track of Scala Caelum's discoveries over the past few years, here's a quick rundown of everything we learned in Kingdom Hearts 3. I ran into this thread on Twitter, but I'm not sure if they were just sharing their findings or if they were reposting what they had seen other people find. If I do find any sources, I'll leave them down below. The words found within Kingdom Hearts 3 Scala Caelum were Flower Gift, Daybreak, Shoes, Keyblade Wars, and Information. The one caveat to this is that both Wars and Information were misspelled based off of the katakana spelling of the Japanese word. The numeral system was also found on books, which was then re-emphasized through posters throughout the town. And I don't know if anyone made note of this, but in Kingdom Hearts ReMind on the boss arena, these glyphs could be seen. What's interesting to note is that 1 through 13 is listed here, but for some reason, the established numbers 8 and 9 got flipped, which is fine. Not everything needs to make sense in a fictional language, I guess. But ever since the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, I've been speculating that this billboard says EGK Devo, which would be an anagram of EKG Void, which plays into a theory I've been working on for over a year that has to do with Kingdom Hearts playing into programming terminology. On top of the fact that Final Fantasy has a concept called the Void that I didn't even know about. So be sure to subscribe for that little brain-rotted content. A user named Guyon in my Discord server actually made an interesting observation. They had stated that most of the glyphs in Scala Caelum look like astrological symbols. And honestly, I have to agree. I mean, just look at some of these. And I know that Final Fantasy also uses zodiacs all over the place. I think zodiacs are gonna play an important part in Kingdom Hearts Missing Link because I literally found the word the Zodiac Sun, which wouldn't be the first time we've seen zodiacs in the Kingdom Hearts series. They actually appeared in 0.2, a fragmentary passage. We'll get to that later, so let's move on. For a while, I also thought these symbols also may have a word associated with them, similar to Japanese kanji. Namely, these two characters here. With this one, I thought it was related to the Final Fantasy creature Adamas. Adamas is a creature whose mouth acts kind of like a gate or a portal to other dimensions. Specifically with Final Fantasy XIV, it's a void gate. So for a point in time, I actually thought this might be what Yin Sid was talking about in Melody of Memory.
When I was still serving as a Keyblade Master, it was known that the ancient masters had crossed over into another world.
And with this one, I was associating with water because I found it on what looked like a water faucet. It also kind of looks like water springing from a fountain to me. But let's fast forward to after I read that tweet and started doing more investigation. I came across this poster in Kingdom Hearts 3 again, and with my limited Japanese knowledge that I've been studying, I realized that this could just say Kingdom Hearts 3 dining. It's related to food. And if we're gonna say that Information and Wars can get through with typos, then I think dining can do the same thing. Because if we take the spelling of dining from katakana, and then just take the first letter from each kana, it's spelled the exact same way we see it here. So with that reasoning, let's just play around with this being the letter I for now. I had so much fun deciphering the language of Scala Caelum that I implore you to, based off of these two images, try to decipher the language, because it's not super hard. Starting with this menu right here, the word avatar actually confirms the letter V is the one that I thought it was. So that adds more fuel to my little theory video. We also see at the bottom right, something that looks like it could spell out wow with a question mark and an exclamation point. Wow? I wasn't really sure if lowercase was being used at this point. Moving our attention up to the upper left, I put the top word into a word finder and it actually said the word was chocolates, but that sounded ridiculous, so I just wrote it off. Come to find out, it does in fact say chocolate. And just below that, there's a word that starts with S and then spells out news. There's also this map here that has a bunch of words on it. Quickly, I identified that it said moon over here, and then where the sun was, I wanted to assume it said sun, but at this point, I wasn't confident. So I was thinking it could be Seoul as well. Over here, there's something that looks like a second moon. And since I've already established in my mind that this is an I here, and if we carry the N from the sun, then we can easily see that it could spell out wind. Something else I noticed was to the north, south, east, and west, they spelled out everything for me. So I had thought that I found the letter U finally. Apparently the letter U has already been found. I still don't know where people found it, but I found it in the word south, so that's all the proof I need. It was at this point that someone showed me this word over here and said maybe it says river. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It looks like it could be like a stream of water above it. But with all the assumptions we've made out of these discoveries, I was stumped. This was like a dead end. I stopped looking for like 2 days until I saw this word right here. Knowing that the first letter was T and it was a 3-letter word, we finally found the word the. I don't think I've ever seen this word used anywhere else except for this poster in Kingdom Hearts 3, but it was so low quality that I never made the connection. At this point, a lot of things just started clicking out of nowhere. After the word the, I used a handy dandy word finder again, put in the letters I knew, and found out that this side over here says the zodiac sun. And yes, we can't see the following letters after the S, but there's enough room for 2 more letters. But the zodiac sun has a lot of implications. Honestly, this entire map deserves an entire theory video for it, so I'll be working on that soon. So after I found that out, I started looking at all the other words I didn't know yet on the map. Carrying over the lowercase a that I found in Zodiac, we can see that this word over here is probably just area. And now knowing what lowercase r is, I looked back to this word that I thought was river. It actually just says right. And to the left of the map, it says left. And there was one other word that I missed on here in my initial search that I had all the letters for, which was just star. But the thing that was still eluding me was this word over here. It looked like it said something about thunder. I just couldn't make out this V-shaped letter. At the time, the only thing I could really think of that would fit was either a K or a Y. I know that thunder's a black magic spell, so I wanted to say it was a K, but knowing that 3 letters could probably fit over there, I was leaning more towards it being a Y, which with all the words I looked at, I feel like legacy fits the best. Legacy actually has an interesting definition for computing. It denotes or relates to software or hardware that has been superseded but is difficult to replace because of its wide use. And if you happen to know any Kingdom Hearts Union Cross lore, when the Master of Masters said he was going to put everyone into a computer and essentially put them into sleep mode, and that he didn't plan on sacrificing any of them, that's kind of where my mind goes with that one. And the other word I was landing on was primacy. If it were that, then this could be the original light that created all the 13 darknesses. I mean, just look at it. It's a sun that's exuding darkness from it. And then the last word I was playing around with was fallacy. But this is just wishful thinking on my part because I love Final Fantasy 13. Now with all these letters that we've deciphered, if we look back to this stamp over here, I now feel kind of silly not initially realizing that this said shop news. Moogles are associated with shops in Kingdom Hearts, and it just makes sense. But now with all that information that we have, back on this poster for Kingdom Hearts 3, it reads out the piano classical concert. And at the bottom it says by Daybreak Hall. Again, in Japanese katakana, for the word hall, they would probably use ho instead of ha. But the next thing that caught my interest was this little weather report right here. It's very low quality, but I was able to make out that it says high, low, rainfall, and then wind velocity. And then down to the left, the title is Happy Price. Again, this was hard to read, but I was able to make out wonderful item for good explorer. Don't miss out on this great opportunity. I knew that the word explorer used X, but I couldn't really tell what the X was. That was until I found this Mary Poppins Easter egg. It is so hard to read this. I can't even express it to you. I had a hunch that the first part of this word said super, and the very last few letters was Oceus. And if you haven't guessed it by now, it's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And the line underneath that is another lyric from that song. So when the cat has got your tongue. Look, I don't know if I'm brain rotted or not. Definitely am. But I hope this is like a tease that Nightmare Cherith is coming back. Or it could be related to Freya being designed after a cat. But I was laughing whenever I found this out. It threw me by surprise so hard. Another thing to keep in mind is during the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious scene, Mary Poppins is singing to animated cartoon characters, which if that doesn't sound like a blend of existing and non-existing to you, then I don't know what does. There's another thing that I need to address. Scala Caelum text is not exclusively Scala Caelum. This can be seen in Twilight Town and Quadratum, but it's in this more modern font. And this poster that I found in Quadratum makes me think that this alphabet has a completely separate pronunciation for its characters. The Japanese word for deer is shika, but the bottom of this says sika sika coffee, and the katakana used right here is shika shika. So that makes me think that the characters up here could either be spelling out shika shika or sika sika. Hopefully someone who speaks Japanese can figure this out. I do want to investigate this modern Scala text though. All but 8 characters have been deciphered now, but I have a pretty good guess on the rest of them. Just following the pattern that I've seen in other Scala Caelum letters, this one looks straight up like a J, and this one over here looks like an X. And most of the quote-unquote capital letters that I've seen in Scala Caelum text has looked similar to its Latin alphabet counterpart. And with the remaining characters, this one over here actually looks like the best candidate for a capital letter. So for now, I'm gonna say it's Q. As for the lowercase letters though, it's a little more complicated. Since there's some letters that look identical in English, I wondered if maybe that holds true in Scala Caelum as well. So I took the symbols for both S and I and found the most similar versions of them in Scala Caelum. Now this is just speculation on my part, but if that is true, then this could be Z and this could be J. With this spirally one, its structure is most similar to O, so I drew the connection between it and the letter Q. Then we're just left with K and V. And honestly, it's a toss-up on this one. I have no clue what it could be. Either we haven't seen every single Scala Caelum letter, or the unverse, which is used in words, acts as a character. I'm not positive, but I think I've seen the Master's emblem used in wording as well. And now, with all this information, we can read this tablet right here. It says, yeah, it's not intelligible. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not very familiar with deciphering messages like this, but certain things in this make me think that it can be decoded. Like, could this bracket here be something indicating the alphabet shifting into another cipher? I'm not entirely sure, but it could be possible. This tablet to me seems way too important to just have throwaway text on it. But unfortunately, there is the possibility that it is just gibberish. If you'd like to stay up to date with any more discoveries or theories that I've been working on, feel free to join my Discord down below.